I spent 4 hours trapped in a grocery store freezer with a man who thought he was on a reality show. I want to preface this by saying that I'm a rational person. I have a practical job, a sensible car, and a refrigerator organized by expiration date. I offer this context so that what follows lands with the appropriate weight. It was a Wednesday. I was working a closing shift at the wholesale grocery where I had been employed for 2 years while finishing my degree. My responsibilities included restocking the walk-in freezer, a task I had performed dozens of times without incident. It had an interior release handle. It was by every objective measure a safe and functional space. What it did not have that evening was a working interior release handle, a fact I discovered 40 seconds after the door swung shut behind me. I called my shift supervisor, Marcus, who did not answer because Marcus left his phone in his locker during closing shifts. I called the front desk, which rang repeatedly without answer. I sent 3 text messages and began the mental arithmetic of someone calculating how long they can tolerate negative 18 degrees Celsius before the situation reclassifies itself. I was midway through this calculation when I heard movement from behind a pallet of frozen corn. The man who emerged was perhaps 60 years old, broad-shouldered, wearing a fleece vest and an expression of profound concentration. He held one finger to his lips and pointed at the ceiling. There was nothing on the ceiling. He produced a spiral notebook from his vest pocket and wrote in large, deliberate letters, "They are watching." He underlined it twice. I asked out loud who was watching. He winced as though I had fired a weapon. He wrote, "Do not speak. Cameras." His name was Roland. He had entered the freezer earlier that afternoon to, as he put it, get ahead of the challenge. He believed he was a contestant on a survival competition series. He had brought 2 protein bars and a hand warmer and had been in the freezer for somewhere between 3 and 4 hours before I arrived, which explained the mild cognitive fog settling over his decision-making. Roland had no interest in calling for help because outside assistance would mean disqualification. I spent the next 40 minutes trying to convince Roland there were no cameras, no production crew, and no competition. He remained unconvinced. He offered me half a protein bar with the generosity of someone who has accepted that survival sometimes requires coalition building. I ate it because I was cold and my options were limited. What resolved the situation was my coworker, Diane, arriving for a secondary closing task, noticing my jacket on the break room hook with my keys still in the pocket. She found Marcus. Marcus found the maintenance override and had the door open within 6 minutes. Roland walked out ahead of me, looked around the stockroom with evident confusion, and said quietly that he supposed that meant he had been eliminated. I wrapped myself in an emergency thermal blanket and sat on a crate. Marcus brought me hot coffee and the expression of someone who knows they are filing an incident report they cannot adequately explain. Roland's wallet had fallen from his vest pocket on the way out. He lived 4 blocks away. His daughter arrived within 15 minutes, took one look at him, and said his name in the tone of someone for whom this was not entirely unprecedented. She apologized to me with a thoroughness that suggested practice. Roland on his way out told me I had shown real resilience in there. He said he would have put me through to the next round. I thanked him. I meant it in the way you mean things when the alternative is simply too exhausting to consider. I finished my shift. I went home. I sat in a very hot bath and thought about the particular randomness of the universe and how a Wednesday can simply decide without warning to become something else entirely. The interior handle has since been replaced. I think about Roland more than I expected to. I hope he is warm. And I hope he has found a less temperature-dependent venue for whatever competition he is currently convinced he is winning.